All right. This is Dylan Williams. I'm a volunteer with ARMA International, and I have the honor and privilege of being a coordinator for Brett Claffee's session on transformation or Transformers Information Bots in Disguise at ARMA InfoCon 2019. So, Brett, thank you for joining me today.
Thank
Uh,
you.
So your session covers a topic which is new for the profession. It's the idea that machines and robotic process automation, that's more prolific as far as record generation and use than people. So what is it about this subject matter that you think the profession is either missing out on, or what are they going to take away from your session?
Sure, Dylan. Thank you. So last year, I had a really fun session using Amazon Echo and Alexa. But the scripting and the use cases from that session were fictional. They were pie in the sky. And thus, they were more difficult, I think, for attendees to take the information away from that session and really put it into useful practice. I think it shared concepts, but it didn't go as far as giving folks something that they could really use in the day-to-day. And so this year, I put a fun spin on some real use cases that I've actually participated in developing with clients in the life sciences industry. So there's going to be as much how-to as there is we achieve. So I believe that attendees are going to get tremendous value in understanding what is possible with some of the new tools organizations have to drive information governance and records management. And it's in these tools and a structured approach that we as practitioners of information governance are missing out on, so that we can incorporate the knowledge and align it to our own experiences and develop our own understanding of not only the subject matter, but the technology and being able to put something into practice in our own organization. So in this year's session, I'm going to share some of those real case studies and sample tools where we put robotic process automation and artificial intelligence capabilities to work for our clients in order to help them improve governance and use and the protection of their information.
That sounds excellent. So these real world examples, these clients that you've worked with, they've taken kind of a proactive approach to this challenge and this opportunity. Do you think there's a common thread between them that links them as early adopters?
Sure, I do. I believe there is a common thread, and there perhaps are multiple common threads. What I'm seeing in organizations that have embraced RPA and AI as early adopters really include a couple different things. First, they're highly regulated industries. So the regulations are driving business to do things in a way that require standardized formats and to some extent really drive standardized outcomes. And so from these regulations, that requirement extends to organizations needing to develop repeatable processes. And then those repeatable processes are the ones that are really ripe for robotic process automation or RPA and exploration. And so if you follow along in that track, these standards and regulations drive standardized content types, which can drive business rules. And these business rules can further be leveraged in auto classification as a first step, but ultimately in the more powerful insights and actions that can be driven through artificial intelligence. And then to extend that even further, if we look at artificial intelligence, the early adopters are needing to extract value from information faster, more efficiently, in order to either become competitive or maintain and protect their competitive advantage that exists today. And so they often have maintained IT resources where perhaps other organizations have transformed their business to utilize third parties for business analysts and project managers. We find that these organizations have maintained a strong IT center of excellence, and in particular, centers of excellence that are constantly evaluating and assessing emerging technologies and looking to apply those emerging technologies to business challenges in their core business support groups or support areas. So in short, there's really a willingness across these organizations that are early adopters to do that evaluation, spend money on that evaluation, and see where these technologies can lead them in terms of solving business problems and more efficiently either extracting value out of the information or in protecting the information from a compliance perspective, and perhaps even both.
Interesting. So that helps me understand the organizations that are looking into this technology or have already adopted it. What other evidence is there that kind of separates this trend from some of the other ones that we've seen that are really more hype than action?
Excellent question, because we do often get caught up in these hype cycles, and we start to believe that something is a reality, and then we go and we try to grab it and implement it and use it for ourselves, and we find that maybe it's not fully baked yet. I think in the case of robotic process automation and artificial intelligence, and they're on separate curves, I would say, in a hype cycle scenario, but they're both being used actively. And when I think about evidence to support the notion that these go beyond just hype, I look across the main tenets of people, process, and technology, right? So if we look at these as being hot technologies, what is that evidence? And so I'm seeing content services providers building more of the classification and artificial intelligence capabilities directly into their products out of the box, or even as separate modules that can be purchased and consumed and then implemented, perhaps first as proof of concepts, but then later as true solutions that can be leveraged. I'm also seeing where it is being used successfully beyond simply information governance and records management. In fact, often it's used in other areas before we start to see it in some of our own use cases. So for instance, risk determination models and know your customer applications in the banking industry have been using artificial intelligence for quite some time, and the banking industry using robotic process automation for quite some time. We also have, and we're seeing governments use these applications to assess and understand potential failure points in critical infrastructure, like bridges and roadways and railroads. So they can use these technologies to really understand what is the greatest threat based on intelligent information and insights that are being derived. So that's really the evidence where you can say it's not just hype. There are real applications, there are real use cases, and it generally continues to build the excitement, but it's not hype excitement. It's excitement over real, tangible results and business outcomes.
I'm really excited to see all of that in your section, Brett. Other than that, what do you think the value is of people attending this year's conference versus previous years?
Oh, sure. Yeah. Thanks, Dylan. I think that in terms of this conference, it's really poised to be the one that people are going to be talking about for years to come, right? It's the first conference where we're seeing InfoGovCon, if any folks are familiar with that conference from years past, getting fully injected into the more traditional approach that ARMA has followed in the past. So we're going to see a blending of methods in ARMA InfoCon 2019 that's going to really provide the educational opportunity to see, hear, feel, and perhaps even touch information in action. So it's going to be a conference that goes beyond teaching core principles and methods, and it's actually going to enter into an era where folks can see firsthand in practice where information enrichment can drive exploitation, whether you're simply moving information, say, to another system, or removing the rot, the redundant, obsolete, and trivial information, or archiving information for digital preservation, or enabling that in-depth kind of analysis that artificial intelligence can bring to drive business insights and capitalize on the competitive advantages that information can drive for your organization. And so I really do believe it's going to be an exciting conference. I'm thrilled to be a part of it. and thrilled to meet all of you that attend the sessions. Thank you.
All right, Brett. See you in Nashville.
All right. Thank you, Dylan. Bye-bye.